Hello, Internet, and welcome to Wednesday's serial, because there's no reason to not call it that, I guess. I had a ramble in me. I felt it. Um, I'd say I didn't script it, but have I ever? Where's the fun in that? That live intercedent of consciousness of thought. What is the joy of these videos that five people watch? I don't know. So I was just thinking, because often, as happens in our circles of enjoying popular and high culture TVs, movies, video games, and comics, we hit each other with, like, what are your favorites? What are your top five? What are your yada, yada, yada? And because I'm a man of high intellect, I like to indulge in these even if I don't record and talk to them. I saw my good friend Damien Sleepy Reader from hashtag Never Stay Dead talk about some of this today, and it got me thinking not just about the ones that he did that was put forth by friend of the show and all around male pervert 64-page special. Uh, you know, what are those favorites in general? So, what I think about often is like when I start picking my favorites, they're kind of in a period from when I was like, 10 to 20, I mean, that's a good decade, I guess. But really, the stuff I've seen more recently may come because it's top of mind, but stuff in fairly recent past often fades away more quickly, and then stuff that was things I enjoyed in high school, college, uh, things in there tend to be what I pick out as some of my more favorite things. So when I think about like my favorite TV shows, I often reach back to stuff like Buffy and Angel or Deep Space Nine or Titus, just to get away from comic books because you guys have heard me talk about those enough through the years, and those are all mostly of a tight time frame. So it feels more about my youth, I guess. And I guess in some ways I feel it's my not about my nostalgia goggles, I guess, because I do consider that, and then I go back and watch them and I enjoy them so much. They're often better than I remember. So I have a interesting time with that, but I also feel like part of the reason maybe I like them more is because there's something about those that were formative to my thoughts and forming my opinions about things, and stuff that I liked a lot in later years I haven't revisited as much. So like when it comes to comics, like the original Ninja Turtles or the Joe Kelly and Gail Simone Deadpool runs, or kind of the JMS section of Spider-Man, those are all among my favorites, but those are all things that I've revisited and were part of that youth. But like things I liked a bit later, I haven't returned to as much. Like it's pretty old now, but like Secret Six, I haven't really gone back to. I have fond memories, but honestly, I remember liking it fondly. My ability to recall that series is pretty limited. I don't remember a lot of what happened. I'm sure I can enjoy a lot of it basically as if it was a first read at this point. Things like Rebels, something that happened just pre New 52. I don't remember that well, but I do again enjoy or remember enjoying it fondly. Um, just a lot of things like this. And so when I talk about my favorites, I think it's interesting, not so much, what do I enjoy the most in a certain way, but what am I able to recall fondly? And what are things that I maybe scope out a negative of, like comics that I absolutely hate? It's bizarre, but, I've talked about a gazillion comics on this channel, and for the most part, very similar stuff. I talk about Turtles all the time. I talk about Spider-Man all the time. I talk about a lot of X books. A chunk of Wonder Woman, whatever. But one review I remember in particular, a comic I recall very well, but was Marine Man, but I just did not enjoy it. I just it's interesting how sometimes it sticks in your craw so much more because it was so reviling to you. Whereas it would be better if I could forget that and remembered something I liked maybe just a hair less. So, oh no, just something about that got me thinking and curious to hear if you guys have any thoughts about that or anything. Just thought it was worth sharing. Cheers.